very unhappy. And I figured I would take this opportunity to share some of her symptoms, and hopefully it will help save somebody else's flower horn. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save her. She basically, a few days ago, she went from being her beautiful powder blue, silver, shiny color to being this very dull, extremely dark. As you can see, she's very, very unhappy. I have noticed it. You can just see it about here. She actually hit her head off of something. There's one rock in this tank, and I think she actually hit her head off of it. But she's very dark. She sits in this corner for all day, all night. She's breathing kind of heavy, but the most alarming symptom that she has is, I don't know if you can see right here, her vent looks extremely swollen and even possibly infected. Now, I'm not too sure what's causing this, so I already treated her with a round of malachite green to see whether it was a parasitic infection, possibly somehow, and she hasn't responded to that. Usually she wants to, when I bring my phone over to her to try and get pictures of her, she actually doesn't stay still. She wants to attack my phone, and there's an elephant on my phone case, so she wants to kill the elephant. And as you can see, she really, unless I bring it really close to her, she really has not much interest in my phone at all. You can also see that her eyes, which are usually bright red, are black. She's a little skinny because she doesn't really want to eat anything, and she keeps doing this twitching thing. But for me, the most alarming symptom, like I said, is the swelling by her vent, and that is leading me to believe that she may have some form of internal parasite. Again, I have no idea how she would have gotten it. She's always been a very finicky fish for me. She's never really eaten particularly well. She's eaten enough to keep herself, surviving, but she's never really been an aggressive eater. So I'm not too sure how well me treating her for internal worms is going to work, but I'm gonna give it a shot because she is such an awesome, personable fish. I love her so much, and I fought with her for over a year now to get her to get to the size that she's at. She's probably around about 4.5 inches now. I have moved her from, she was in a 55-gallon. I actually moved her from the 55-gallon down into a 30-gallon just purely for the fact that I started to realize that she just wasn't doing very well, and I couldn't really figure out why she wasn't doing well. So I moved her into a smaller tank so that if I needed to treat her, it would be easier to treat her. And she was doing pretty well, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's just not doing very well. But I kind of knew something like that was coming just by the way she was acting. She wasn't acting her normal self, and as you can see, she's not acting like a feisty flower horn. She's lost some weight. She's lost a lot of color. Her nuptial hump is not as pronounced. The hump on the top of the head is, let me see. So the hump on the top of her head is kind of sunken in. You can see it's kind of triangular shaped right now, whereas before it was more domed. She's never really had a nuptial hump like a male flower horn would have, but I'm hoping that by treating her with the fish dewormer, it will help. Let's just hope that I can get her to eat it. Let me show you what I'm going to treat her with. Okay, so this is the treatment that I was recommended by a friend to use to try and deworm her. Hopefully it's going to work. If I can get her to eat it, there should be no problems with it. This is a fish dewormer, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it was about $10 for 3 packets. And actually, if you order it on Amazon Prime, you can get it within like 24 hours. So that to me was fantastic. So that's what I'm using, and I already put some of, this is a 4-ounce container right here, and I used the 4-ounce container in order to mix it up and also measure out the 4 ounces of food that you're supposed to let it soak. Using some tank water, I then put the packet of the dewormer into the tank water, and then I'm gonna pour that over this, which is pre-measured 4 ounces of, and I use a whole different variety of food because I don't know whether she's even gonna eat it. So let's just pop that in there. And now this will actually end up going back into this container so that I can make sure it's airtight, because I'm sure this is going to turn into a big sloppy gross mess. I'm going to let that soak for about 30 minutes, make sure it's all nicely covered. There's a whole mixture of there's cichlid pellets in here, which she doesn't really ever eat. There's beta pellets in there. There's nanovite pellets, the nanovite granules, some cobalt beta pellets, and the starry cichlid pellet, which she actually doesn't usually eat, but she's been fasting for a couple of days, so I'm hoping that she's going to be hungry enough to want to eat this now. It looks absolutely disgusting, but this is an effort that has to be made in order to try and save her. If it's not external parasites or internal parasites, quite frankly, I'm at a loss now. I really hope that I can save her. So with this dewormer, it's quite important to note that this stuff is intended for your fish to eat it. Now you can mix this in the water. Say for instance, if you have a planaria or anything like that, it's the same active ingredient. I don't know exactly how you would do it. To be honest with you, I don't know how to measure what would be a safe concentration for the rest of the fish to just put it into the water, because these packets are 250 milligrams each, so I'm thinking that would be probably way too much to put into water for the fish. And I'm sure if you're treating a tank that has internal parasites, if there are any external worms, internal worms, if there are any planaria in your tank, it will probably do the trick too for that tank. So that's another reason that I actually mixed more than needed. You're supposed to mix 1 packet with 4 ounces. This is a 4-ounce container. 4 ounces of food to 1 packet of the Thomas Labs fish dewormer, and with your tank water, let it sit for 30 minutes, and then feed the fish. So I already know that Sugar's not going to eat all of that, so I figured I would mix it with other fish food and also it's a good time to just deworm everyone, and hopefully that will prevent any possible worms in any of my fish. So we'll come back to this in about 30 minutes and try feeding her and see what happens. Okay, so it's been around about 30 minutes, and the food has turned into complete mush. So what I would what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give him some, give her some. I always say him, I don't know why. I'm gonna give her some of this food. It's gonna look like she's being overfed. And there's not really too much that I can do about it. But hopefully she's gonna eat it. So let's see what happens. This is, as you can see, the beautiful sloppy mess. She's actually coming over, so let's see what she does. She's swum away. I can't get it out of the thing, of course. Hopefully she's gonna eat some of it. Excellent. She's eating. She ate a little bit and now she's back over at her heater again. You can see she gets it's almost like she gets distressed. She starts swimming around and then she becomes distressed. And I'm not too sure what the reasoning is behind that. It's honestly very frustrating and upsetting because I love this fish. And I really hope that she pulls through, but she ate a little bit, so that to me is a win so far. Her health is more important than anything, and she is eating. I am so happy right now. Now, this medicine, it's important that if you do use medicine, any medicine, not just this medicine, but certainly a medicine that you soak food in, it's very important that if you do overfeed, like clearly it clumps together like that, and it's very, very difficult to actually like portion control it. Make sure that with if your fish hasn't eaten something within the first 10 or 15 minutes, I would go ahead and remove any leftover food. That's what I'm gonna do. And then probably later tonight I will follow up with a water change and another feeding, because at this point, this medicine is supposed to take effect within an hour. So if she consumes it, they say that within an hour, you should see visible worms if there is a worm infestation in your fish. Now, I don't know much about worms in fish, but I'm hoping that this is gonna work. I hope that this is the cause and that it's not something else. But this is just one of many different theories that I'm gonna go through. And I know the lighting really, really stinks, so I'm sorry about that. I don't even know how to really counteract it without really using my hand. But she's definitely not a happy little fish. And at this point, I'm hoping that she's going to pull through, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm just happy that she ate something. Alrighty, so it's been approximately 8 hours since Suga had her first dose of the food with the dewormer in it. Now, if you are someone who will get grossed out by looking at fish poop or whatever this is that is coming out of her, I would advise that you look away around about now, because I'm going to show a little bit of progress. I believe that she is actually passing some things, so that's telling me that she's not constipated, and it's also telling me that the food is being digested and that it is obviously on its way out with whatever else is going on inside of her. She will repeat the treatment tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see some other improvements in her in the next couple of days. So, okay, gross alert, gross alert. Look away if you don't like to look at this kind of stuff. So anyway, it's kind of difficult to see, but under, she's gonna come from my phone. Oh, as you can see, she has God only knows what coming out from underneath her. I'm hoping that that is in fact parasitic, and as you can see there seems to be quite a bit of mucousy looking stuff there too. So I'm really hopeful that this medicine is doing what it needs to do, and I'm also really hoping that that is either an egg buildup or it is in fact some sort of nasty internal parasite that is on its way out. So that's a little bit of progress. She is definitely not out of the woods yet, and that's a good sign, and whatever was in there is evidently on its way out. So that's a little bit of progress from her. So fingers crossed, guys. And again, sorry that this is completely gross. And we will check back in with her tomorrow morning and see how she's doing. So it is the second day, and I'm about to give her her second feeding of the wormer. And you can see she's still a little swollen underneath. She did pass something last night, so that's a good sign. And it looks like her egg tube possibly is very pronounced, but it doesn't look quite as, her underside doesn't look quite so gross, if that's the right term to use. It definitely looks like she's getting some of her color back underneath there. She's still a little swollen, but hopefully in the next couple of days she'll start feeling better. She actually is a little bit brighter, but as you can see, her side, she must be flashing. I haven't seen her flashing, but she must be, because that side, she's got quite a lot of damage on her side right now. So hopefully over the next 24 hours there'll be some more improvement with her, and we will come back to her later on tonight and see how she's doing. So it's the third day of her treatment, and as you can see, she actually seems to be showing a few signs of improvement. She's a little bit brighter in color, and she is swimming around the tank a little bit more instead of being just up in the top corner. She's still twitching a little, but right now I'm honestly kind of relieved a little bit for now that she is actually swimming around a bit more than she has been. So we're going to continue on with the path. She is apparently decided she's not talking to me. She probably knows I'm going to give her medicine. She's hiding from me in the back corner. But the good news is she is a little bit more active. She is swimming around more, and her color has come back, even to the point where her eyes are a little brighter than they were. They were very black before. That was actually pretty scary for me. I did not think she was gonna, I didn't think she was gonna survive another 24 hours. She just looked that terrible. But she, as you can see, she's definitely a little more active than she was. She's probably gonna pout in the corner now because she knows she's about to get fed. Her, the bash marks on her sides have, they're not great. They look like they're kind of not infected or anything like that, but you can visibly see it more so now than before. Before it just looked like bruising almost, and now you can see the damage actually in the scales themselves. So I gotta watch her for a secondary bacterial infection, make sure that she is water changed every day until she is over this. And honestly, that's probably just a good practice with doing worm treatment anyway, for the pure and simple fact that she's being wormed. So if there is worms in there, obviously they're going to be dead on their way out, and then they're going to foul the water because decaying creatures is never good. And not only that, I want to make sure that I keep her water clean, because I do not want her getting any kind of bacteria or fungus in any of the scratch marks that she has on her sides. But so far so good. She is definitely looking a little better than she was. So far I'm gonna be giving a big thumbs up for that. And we'll keep checking back with her for the next couple of days and see how she progresses. Alrighty, so it is now day 4, and she seems to have improved a little bit more. She's still a little bit dark, not exactly back to her, her regular color, but she has definitely brightened up a little bit, so that's a very good indication that the treatment is working for her. Now, I did go ahead and treat her for like a parasite such as velvet or something. I used a treatment that deals with velvet and external parasites also, just because she was flashing and there's no visible signs on her of velvet or ick or anything like that. Like, I could not see anything on her. I even used a flashlight, and I'm pretty good at spotting velvet, as beta are very susceptible to it. And you guys know that obviously I have bred beta multiple times in the past. But as you can see, she is definitely a lot more alert and trying to eat snails that are falling from the surface. Now that she's starting to improve a little bit more, I will go ahead and really vacuum up this gravel, the sand, to make sure that there's nothing else left over. And obviously snails are really dirty as well. They are huge poop producers. But as you can see, she's actively searching through and sifting through and eating particles that are left over in the substrate. So that is a really good indication she's not just hanging out in a corner. She's still a little bit twitchy, I've noticed. Her scales seem to be healing pretty nicely. She's got quite a nasty mark on her back here, and a couple on the other side too, but they look like they're healing really, really well. There's no signs of fungal infection, no bacterial infections going on in there, and she's doing pretty well, which is fantastic because she really had me nervous. Her nocturnal hump on her head has also, it's not so triangular now, so that's fantastic also. So that's just a really quick update for day 4, and let's hope that she continues to improve.